Most people think stroke prevention looks like taking your medications, cutting out salt, and avoiding stressful situations. And don't get me wrong, those things do matter. But after having this conversation with patient after patient, the habits that actually move the needle and can prevent a stroke from ever happening in the first place are almost never the things that people expect. Because strokes do not happen randomly. They happen at the end of a long chain of events that start quietly, often years before a stroke happens, and that are highly sensitive to what you do in just the first hour of every day. The morning is not just the start of your day, it's the window where your heart and blood vessels are most at risk and most responsive to the right habits. I'm Dr. Mitch Rice, a practicing board-certified primary care physician here in the United States, and today I'm going to show you 7 morning habits that most people have never heard of, connected to stroke prevention, why the morning window matters than most people realize, and exactly how you can start protecting your brain this week. Before we get into the habits, I want to fully explain why the morning is such a critical window. Most strokes do not happen randomly throughout the day. The vast majority of strokes happen early in the morning, specifically between the hours of 5 a.m. and 12 p.m. And the reason is simple biology. When you wake up, 3 things happen all at once. Your main stress hormone spikes to its highest point of the day. Your blood gets a little thicker and stickier after hours without water, and your blood pressure shoots up sharply, sometimes dramatically, in the first hour after waking. This is normal and called the morning blood pressure surge, and it's one of the strongest predictors of stroke risk in all of medicine. And almost nobody is doing anything specifically to manage it. Now, let me walk you through each of these 7 things that you can start doing this week, and I want you to pay super close attention to numbers 3 and 6 on this list, because those are the ones that will genuinely shock you. Habit number 1 is to drink water before anything else. After 7 to 8 hours without fluid, your blood is slightly thicker than at any other point in the day. Thick blood will move slowly. It's harder for your heart to push through the vessels, and it's far more likely for clots to form, which is the direct cause of the most common type of stroke. Research published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that drinking water in the morning measurably reduced blood thickness and stickiness, 2 of the main clotting drivers behind stroke. Drink roughly 500 milliliters, or about 16 ounces of water, before coffee, before food, and before you do anything else. Room temperature, or cold water, both work, and this one habit honestly takes about 2 to 3 minutes and can start protecting you right away. Habit number 2 is to get into some morning sunlight within the first 10 minutes of being awake. Most people think that morning sunlight only affects your mood, but the connection to stroke runs a bit deeper. Natural light hitting your eyes within the first 10 minutes of waking sends a signal to a small but powerful part of your brain, your body's master clock. When that signal fires correctly, your stress hormone peaks, does its job, and starts falling within 45 minutes. But when that signal is missing, because you woke up in a dark room and went straight to your phone, that stress hormone stays high and messy all day. And when your stress hormones stay elevated all day, it raises blood pressure, causes inflammation in your blood vessels, and makes your blood stickier. All 3 of those things directly increase stroke risk over time. You want to step outside within 10 minutes of being awake. Even on cloudy days, outdoor light is far brighter than indoor lighting. 2 to 5 minutes is enough to trigger this response. And try not to wear sunglasses, as the light needs to reach your eyes directly to be most effective. Habit number 3 is the one that most people have never heard of, in terms of it directly connecting the increased risk of having a stroke, and that is to breathe only through your nose during morning movement. Whether you walk, stretch, or do any kind of morning movement, how you breathe during that movement has a direct effect on your stroke risk. Breathing through your nose produces a molecule called nitric oxide inside your sinuses with every breath. That nitric oxide travels directly into your bloodstream. And nitric oxide tells your blood vessel walls to relax and open up, which lowers blood pressure at the exact moment of the day when it's at its most dangerous peak. Breathing through your mouth produces almost none of this. Research found that nose-only breathing during exercise produced significantly lower blood pressure compared to mouth breathing at the exact same workout intensity. So during your morning walk or movement, keep your mouth closed. Slow down if needed. Nasal breathing gets easier within 2 to 3 weeks of practice. And even just 5 minutes of nose breathing during movement produces real benefits. Habit number 4 is to eat your protein first before any carbohydrates at breakfast. Now, the order in which you eat your breakfast matters just as much as what you eat for breakfast. When you eat carbohydrates first, like toast or cereal, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. That fast rise causes a big wave of insulin to flood your system, and insulin turns up your fight or flight response. That same response that's already running high in the morning because of the natural blood pressure surge. Stacking an insulin wave on top of an already stressed morning cardiovascular system is something I see constantly in patients with poorly controlled morning blood pressure. Research published in the Journal of Diabetes Care found that eating protein before carbohydrates at the same meal reduced post-meal insulin spikes by up to 57%. Less insulin means less fight or flight response, which means lower blood pressure in the morning. And a lower blood pressure peak directly reduces stroke risk during the most dangerous window of the day. Try to start every breakfast with protein, either eggs, Greek yogurt, salmon, or cottage cheese, and eat at least half your protein before touching carbohydrates. This usually looks like eating about 5 to 10 bites of protein before going for the carbs. Habit number 5 has some of the strongest direct stroke prevention evidence on this entire list. And it's almost something that nobody makes sense of, and that is to eat a nitratic food at breakfast. Certain vegetables, like beets, arugula, and spinach, are packed with compounds called dietary nitrates. When you eat these foods, your bodies turn those nitrates into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the same molecule that's produced with nasal breathing, but dietary nitrates work through a completely different pathway, and they keep working for hours after you eat. A major study found that people with higher dietary nitrate intake had a 17% lower risk of stroke compared to those who ate the least. And there have been multiple studies that have shown that eating beets or drinking beetroot juice can directly lower blood pressure for about 1 to 2 hours after consumption. What you want to do is to add a handful of arugula, or spinach or beets, at breakfast. You can also try to drink a small glass of beetroot juice in the morning, as this is available at most grocery stores. Try not to use antibacterial mouthwash before eating, as this kills the bacteria in your mouth that converts nitrates into nitric oxide. Habit number 6 is 5 minutes of slow and intentional breathing before leaving your house in the morning. Most people think that slow breathing can help with stress, and while that is true, it also can help reduce the risk of having a stroke. The key to breathing in a calm, controlled way is to make your exhalation longer than your inhalation. When your exhale is longer than your inhale, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure drops, and your blood vessels relax. 5 minutes of this before the day changes something called heart rate variability, in a way that lasts for hours. Heart rate variability is the tiny difference in between each of your heartbeats. When heart rate variability is low, your stroke risk goes up. But when heart rate variability is high, the heart and blood vessels are working efficiently and flexibly. Research published in the Journal of Cell Reports Medicine found that just 5 minutes of this kind of breathing every day produced meaningful improvements in heart rate variability within 4 weeks. What you want to do is to breathe in through your nose for about 4 seconds, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. Do this for 5 minutes before leaving your home. You can do it outside in the morning sunlight to stack these 2 habits at once. Habit number 7 is something that you can actually track over time, and that is to check your blood pressure after about 20 minutes of being awake in the morning. This feels passive, but honestly, it's not. A single blood pressure reading at your doctor's office at 2 p.m. tells you almost nothing about the most dangerous window of your day and what your blood pressure is doing at your normal baseline. Research published in the Journal of Hypertension found that morning blood pressure surge predicted stroke risk even in patients whose clinic blood pressure looked completely normal. Knowing your morning number is not scary. It can actually be protective. And it's the difference between catching a dangerous pattern at home early enough to fix it and finding out about it too late. So you want to try to check your blood pressure within the first 20 minutes of being awake, before medication, and before coffee. Now, you don't need to do all 7 things at once, but start with 1 or 2 habits and try them out for about 4 weeks. After you've mastered those habits, then layer the next one by one. This compounding of small morning habits is what truly can save lives. If this video changed the way you think about your morning, and specifically how it can protect your risk of having a stroke, please consider subscribing as well as sending this to someone that may need to hear this message. If you want the complete roadmap in terms of the right foods, the right exercises, and evidence-based supplements in order to optimize your metabolic health and longevity, I put all of that information together in a completely free resource called the Metabolic Blueprint. If you're interested, you can grab it in the link below. Finally, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. This is from the Book of Lamentations 3:ES 22 and 23. Heat.